Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Happy Hump Day. Welcome to the Social. We'd like to welcome back former pro football player and Grey Cup champion Enoch Muamba. Welcome back. You're getting to be a regular and we like it.
I like it here too.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, well, let's kick this off. Big news. The federal election, we know, could very well be just around the corner. And Pierre Poilievre's campaign bus, they're going to have a few fewer seats, so I guess more seats available. Media were notified this week that reporters will not be able to travel with conservatives on election tours. Oh, wow. Okay. So the question is, how useful is full access to politicians on the campaign trail in a potential federal election very soon?
Can you smell that?
What?
Smell that? Smells like fear. Smells like somebody is afraid to be held accountable for the things that they have said and done with real traditional journalists. So they're like, you know what? You guys just are not invited, which is not what we have in a democratic society. And also, the timing of this is also very interesting, and I hate to always refer to our neighbors to the south, but they are so loud and annoying that I can't help it. But right now, we're watching traditional journalists be shut out, fired, eliminated from the conversation, and I'm looking at this move over here in Canada going, what's this move about? I hope we're not following what's going on down there, because we cannot have that. Freedom of the press, people. We need to have that. So that was my first thought. What do you guys think? You go.
Well, listen, I actually think, Andrea, like, they're always going to try to control the narrative at the end of the day. And this day and age, what you see is people have different ways to get access to news and politics and whatnot. Like, you look at the social media apps, people, I know including myself, have different apps that they look towards to get this information. And regardless if they have the media on the planes or not, it's going to get out there.
You don't think it's important to have a seasoned journalist have face-to-face time and ask the politicians the hard questions?
I'm going to save you for this because, like, yes, of course. I think we can all agree that is extremely important. So to be clear, though, he's not saying no to journalists at his conferences, like as he goes across the country.
They don't have access.
They can still have access to him there. He's just saying he doesn't want anyone on the bus, which is unusual, and yet I feel
it's not unusual. I just want to make it clear. This is unprecedented. This is unprecedented.
And as the kids would say, it is sus, potentially. But
that's right.
I think that I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but I can sort of understand why he's doing it.
Why?
Well, I feel like one thing is the fact that he knows better than anybody that when you say something in this day and age, it can be taken out of context and it can be turned into an ad. He's doing that right now against his potential opponents. Thank you, Mark Carney. This is his playbook, so he knows it. He doesn't want to be a part of it. I also think this man is in a crisis of identity. When you think about it, this is a man who defined himself specifically as being the anti-Trudeau, first. Everything was against Trudeau. Trudeau this, Trudeau that, all that for ages. Then it was like he was identically parroting everything that Trump said. So that was his identity. And then, whoa, the tariff war happened. And then suddenly he's like, oh,
Trudeau's gone.
Trudeau's gone. Who am I? So I think the thing is he hasn't decided who he is. So he certainly doesn't want to be getting on a bus and hanging out.
Isn't that the perfect time to have a journalist sit down with you and ask you really important questions?
I think the biggest red flag would have been if he tried to deny the real media to be there at the press conferences and everything. I think he's still
here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have with this. Here's the problem I have with this. A, it's unprecedented, okay? It's unprecedented federally, okay? There are always journalists out of all the major media outlets who travel with a potential candidate. Why? Because Canada, this is going to be, in my opinion, one of the most consequential elections in our lifetime, bar none. This is exactly the time that we need to know as voters, who do I want to vote for? Who is this person? The only way you can get at that is not by controlling the narrative, it's to act not scared. Because if you are scared of a reporter, how are you going to handle Donald Trump? So my question is, if you are afraid of letting, or you're deciding you don't want the press to travel with you now, what makes you think he's going to let the press have at him when he actually gets into office, if he gets into office?
Yeah.
There's nothing that's stopping him. So my whole thing is, if you don't want to be compared, and you're trying so hard to differentiate yourself from Donald Trump, but you're doing exactly the thing that Donald Trump is doing, you're not doing a good job. You're not doing a good job. You know?
Okay, we're gonna move on to something completely different. Bachelor fans are split over Grant Ellis saying "I love you" to one contestant and then confessing to falling for others at the same time. So here's the question that's been left with us: do you think, Enoch, that you can love two people at the same time?
This is.
No. Before he answers, his wife is sitting in the audience. Let's not break up a happy home. Now go.
Listen. You gotta remember the thing about these dating shows on TV. They're entertainment, right?
Good answer.
And I don't think that it's true love. Obviously, I am committed to my wife. I love my wife. Jessica Muamba, I love you. She's here. But the truth is, it's just infatuation. It's not true love. If you really look at like the way I grew up, especially with the understanding of love, I was, fortunate enough to grow up in a happy home. I saw my parents love each other and everything. And the understanding of love comes from a Greek word called agape. It says agape, and this love is deeper than erotic love. It's deeper than even love that you don't have any choice. Brotherly love, familial love. This is deeper than that, and I don't think that's what we see when we watch these dating apps.
Good answer, husband. Very good answer.
Listen, Cynthia, as you've discussed many times on the show, there are many different types of love, right? And so is it possible?
I hear everything you're saying, and what I loved what you just did was you talked about the Greek word. And in other cultures, like Arabic, for example, I think they have many different words for love. And I don't think we talk enough about the different flavors and nuances to love. So if I'm answering the question, can you love more than one person at a time? I think the answer is yes.
Like deep romantic love?
I think for some people who fall into the polyamorous spectrum, they would say that yes, you can hold space for that. And again, we don't question it at all that you can love like multiple children at the same time with the same type of intensity, that you can love friends very deeply and intimately at the same time. We hold this special space for romantic love, and I'm not denying that it isn't there, but I think for some people who have a different way of looking at it, you can do this. And let's remember, the peg for this story is about a dating show. So I think it's okay for this guy to say, he's just like moving around. I don't think any of it's love.
I don't think any of it, I actually agree. Yeah, I don't think he has any idea which way is up right now. But what I will say is that
he knows which way is up. He knows what's up. He knows which way is up.
This is a daytime talk show.
What are we doing?
This is a daytime talk show.
Which way is up, my friend?
You also got to take into consideration, like, what are you going in the dating app? What is your goal in the dating show? What are your goals?
To get famous.
To get things up or to truly find love? I think that if you can answer that question, then I want to know.
But isn't it exhausting? And I get by the whole premise of this show, the whole point is to be dating multiple people. But if you take this into the real world, you barely have enough energy and time to love one person. How much time and energy does it take to be in love with two people at the same time?
And be happy while doing it.
However, there is a brand new TLC show coming out, and it is called, what is it called? I think it's, anyway, the whole point is it's something that I've never heard of before. I'm sure you have. It's profiling two couples, two married couples, okay, so 4, and they are in what is called a closed quad.
A quad.
A closed quad is they're married to their husband and wife, and then they switch. And they live in the same house. They live in the same house, and they even have children, and everyone's living under the same roof.
That sounds like a disaster.
Now, you're right, but then I was like, what is this? Let me look at the clips. Everyone seems very normal. Everyone seems fully consenting, and the kids look happy. So clearly it is possible for some. Not me.
Listen, you've got to know, this is a contrived environment. Offset, outside of that picture, are producers and camera people. And the person who booked this whole date, this is not a real situation, but he is living every man's dream with having a bunch of women who are just like, please love me. And he's like, I love you.
Oh my God, I just got it. Andrea, I just got it. Andrea Bain for the next Bachelorette. Moving on.
We're going to watch it, Andrea.
Just saying. Wouldn't that be good? Okay. I would watch that show.
I'm watching, Andrea.
let's dive to our next topic. NASA astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore made a splash returning to Earth on a SpaceX capsule. The pair spent an unexpected 9 months on the International Space Station due to the technical issues with their Boeing Starliner. Sadly, the story isn't free of politics, as SpaceX is owned by Elon Musk, who scored a big win for this. So do you feel conflicted about celebrating and even talking about this story? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Half and half?
I do. I watched it yesterday. Anybody who watched it or watched news coverage, and then the dolphins greeted the thing when it landed, and they were jumping, and I was like, this is the most beautiful thing on Earth. And then I saw all the employees, who I'm sure are great people, surround the capsule, and they all had SpaceX written across their back, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. Now, not unfortunate for them. They're doing their job, and they're great people, but I really all of a sudden went, Elon Musk just made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars yesterday. And he did this and is sort of being heralded as a hero for saving stranded astronauts. And then I said, okay, you're not going to blame the employees. Yes, we can maybe dislike the guy, but the Americans put themselves in this situation because they have relied so much and outsourced so much of their space and technology to SpaceX, which is owned by Elon Musk. You know, he has all the satellites up for military. He's got a massive contract with the Department of Defense. You can actually argue that the United States is safe because of Elon Musk and his surveillance system, which is scary to say. But of course, what we've seen here at home, I'm sure you've seen it on the news. You see people driving Teslas, you see the new Cybertrucks, and you might be judging those drivers. And a lot of them, I'm not going to blame you, because we see now bumper stickers that show where their true heart is, which is not with Elon. This one says, I bought this. In case you can't see it, I bought this before Elon wasn't elected.
I love that.
Then there's another one that shows like Elon, and it's all of the, you know, the pride flag. The pride flag. And another one that says the anti-Elon Tesla Club. So you don't want to blame the people, but we do speak with how we spend our money. We do.
Absolutely, and I definitely noticed those stickers rolling around on the streets, Mel. But I think it's still important to kind of celebrate the fact that human life has come back, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think we should definitely put politics in front of human life, and so that is definitely the thing. But when you look at Elon Musk, you definitely see the fact that it's almost like he's garnered so much money, so much power. You see him in the presidential, office. It's almost like he feels like he's a demigod.
You
like
know
he's
what I would love for him to
Yes.
do? Because I think we all have common sense, but just in case common sense isn't that common, that he wasn't actually the person in the control room making sure that launch happened seamlessly. There was a team of scientists, people who worked very hard, and I really want to make sure that we continue to focus on those people, because they are the ones who are doing the work every single day. The fact that these two people are back, congratulations, welcome home. We're glad you're back, safe and sound on Earth. God bless you, 286 days in space. I once got stuck on a roller coaster for 20 minutes, and I never went back to that amusement park. So I can only imagine how they're feeling and how their family feels. They've missed out on a lot, and I'm just going to focus on them and all of the wonderful people who've done a lot of hard work, because like you just said, I hate that everything is being politicized. I hate when they got stuck up there, that US President Donald Trump took to the airways to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna ask my buddy Elon to bring them down because this is probably the Biden administration's fault. Like, I hate that was the narrative. That's what he said. I hate that was the narrative, because that eliminates all of the hard work of the people who work at space.
Yeah. True.
Who went to school for years.
I can agree. Yes,
Right?
it's true. I just hope we can agree that, I like that these bumper stickers are out there for people who already own Teslas. And again, no one should be doing anything. We're hearing horrible stories in the States.
They're
vandalizing cars and stuff like that. Like, that's not cool. But going forward, you do put your money where your mouth is. So just everybody pay attention to where you're spending it. We talked about this before. And if you're going out today to spend money and adding to his massive wealth, ask yourself some serious questions.
I did read somewhere that there's been reports that Tesla stocks has gone down. His net worth as well has gone down. So it's just a proof that you are not invincible.
People are putting their money
Exactly, and his
where their
brand
mouth
is definitely being affected right now.
Yeah. Speak with your money. All right. Speaking of being uncomfortable,
oh boy,
a Swedish museum features foods from around the world that can make you queasy.
Nope.
Okay. Kapiluak, which is the world's most exclusive coffee made from defecated coffee beans.
Okay, not from a human defecation to be
from a monkey.
any better?
I just needed to make that clear.
Okay, but it was a monkey. It was a monkey. Also, check out maggot cheese. It's a cultural treasure. if you're from Sardinia, Italy, this is what you do. Well, Enoch, would you be visiting this museum anytime soon?
It is a hard no. Do we have any scientists in the room? Like, if anybody can bring science into this and show me that there are benefits to throwing up first and foremost.
I'll do better than science. I put $200 on the table.
No, man, money is not gonna get me to do that.
All right,
the thing is, for me too, Andrea, is like, ask my wife, I'm a violent thrower up. I do not enjoy that.
My
and there is no benefits to throwing up. So why would I put myself in that type of situation? And think about it. I'm an athlete, right? Former athlete.
You're always an athlete.
Always an athlete.
But you also understand being an athlete that you work out and there's pain that comes from working out, but there's growth that comes out of it. And so yes, there's pain and there's growth. There's a purpose to that pain. I do not have time for purposeless pain.
Bragging rights?
Nah.
No. Okay, so what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
I went to Hong Kong recently. I tried different things, but nothing that got me to throw up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, Sin, are you into this?
I mean, I don't know if I go to this specific one, but I am into weird museums. I love a weird museum. When I first went to London, I went to the Jack the Ripper History Museum. I'm just curious about weird things. I also have been to the human exhibit. Did anyone go to that one in Vegas?
I did go to that. That was cool.
Gross.
Didn't do that one.
I mean, it's cool. But it's gross, too, like looking at the inside of the bodies. But the weirdest one I ever went to was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it was called the Museum of Questionable Medical Devices, and it had an array of different types of things. I'm going to tell you about a couple. One was called a rectorotor, okay? So this was at the time.
Oh my God.
This was supposed to help with, as you can see, piles, constipation, and prostate trouble. They had the actual one there. I couldn't find that on the internet, but I'm sure you can if you look. And then also, there was something called a timely one. They had one of these devices, which was to prevent night emissions. And basically, the idea.
What's a night emission?
What's an emission?
Do we like a
farts?
No.
Gas?
It's when you have an erotic dream and things for a man that things happen spontaneously. I hope we know what this is.
I'm so confused.
The idea of this is that the wearer would put it over their penis, and when there might be a change to that penis, that it would wake them up because those spikes would go inside.
Oh my God.
This went left.
But these were products that existed not that long ago. So I just think, listen, let's get to know our weird history, because history tends to repeat itself.
Were these apparatuses being sampled there as well?
They weren't being sampled, but they were on display.
And did anybody throw up? Is the real question.
Good question.
Probably a bit of throw up.
A lot of throw up.
Oh my gosh. Listen, get to know the name Max Clark. He is a Detroit Tigers prospect with a huge online presence and a really big personality to boot. And there's a lot of speculation around all this attention that he is getting online. So can the attention that one player is getting, and he's just a newbie on the scene, actually be a detriment to the success of the team? Enoch, turns out you play team sports with football. Does this help or hurt a team?
It's a fine balance between distraction and balance with what is necessary, right? I truly believe that every professional athlete in particular need to have something else that occupies them outside of the sport that they're in. And it's, I mean, especially coming out, and I saw it throughout, I was blessed enough to have a 12-year professional career. I saw so many athletes struggle transitioning from football to, you know, everyday
real life.
And it is difficult. So I love it for the young Max and the ability that he has to develop an identity outside of the sport of baseball. He's going to make a lot of money playing baseball, but at some point or another, the sport is going to end. And who are you after that is a question that a lot of professional athletes find it hard to answer.
Okay. I was looking at it from the beginning of his career, because I think when you're new, we've seen a lot of college athletes who went into the pros with a lot of hype. Johnny Manziel went into the NFL. He's a great example. And so did Zion Williamson, who played basketball. Both of these guys were all the hype when they left college and did the transfer. And both of them were a huge disappointment. They did not measure up. And so when I'm looking at this guy who's coming in and he's got social media, something that these guys, I think it was just the beginning of that definitely for Zion, not for Johnny. I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, you have all the hype, you have all the eyeballs, but now you've got to show up and do it. Right? And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be a Tom Brady who was picked 199th in the 6th round, but has 7 Super Bowl rings. I'd rather undersell and over-deliver, and I feel like this kid has boxed himself in where everybody's going, okay, you're all the hype, you got all the, okay, you're wearing that Louis Vuitton jacket, that's nice, let's see what you do. Let's see how long you last. Let's see what numbers you put up on the board, because that's all that matters. That's the metrics that you can actually really watch and see how he's doing. So I think on the one hand, it's great that these young athletes can make more money, because for a long time they were taken advantage of. But at the same time, I'm like, you got to do something,
produce.
honey. You got to produce for a long time.
I think it's a matter of business. Like if you're the Detroit Lions, right, and you guys know that they have these massive contracts. This kid has a $7.7 million contract for his first season, which is low compared to some of the big superstars in baseball. But they're going to get a great return on investment, because if you are a team owner, what do you want? You want talent, but you also need income, which is the form of eyeballs. You need people coming into the seats. You need them buying the jerseys.
You need to date Taylor Swift.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. But he actually gives, in my opinion, kind of Travis Kelce vibes, because he's got fashion. And I think, like, this is where I'm going to sound old for just a second, but we cannot judge this young generation, who he's only 20, with the rules that existed when we were younger. We didn't have social media, because trust me, if I was 20 and had social media, I would have ripped up the scene. You know, and this kid, they come from, and I say this as the mother of an 11-year-old, they are born with digital in their hands. This is the only way he knows, so maybe it's going to be for future success, and to own his own image. Ownership of what you do is a big deal in professional sports.
The autonomy and independence is huge.
Which is
right?
great.
And I think $7 million, if you're Detroit, that's a steal. You got a kid that's leveraging millions of followers, so you're just like, this is a win-win if you're the Detroit Tigers.
But even all these podcasts talking about athletes all the time, you also set yourself up for, if he does not do what he's supposed to do, all of these shows, podcasts, all of these sports shows are gonna be like, yeah, see what he's not doing, see what he's not doing.
But
so
if he does hit, we don't know. Yeah, what do you think, Sid?
What if he hosts the show?
No, he's too young. No one wants to hear from him. We want to hear from Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp.
He's got millions of people following him that will listen, Andrea.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Sid?
I mean, I was just curious to know, like, if all that attention. Like, I'm thinking of a Dennis Rodman from back in the day when, like, I actually didn't follow basketball, but everyone remembers this guy who was clearly standing out. Which actually, as a person who wasn't interested in sports, I was like, oh, this guy is kind of. I'm interested more because he looks like artsy and weird, but then his career went in a different way. Anyway, does it get distracting for the team if you're like there's somebody who's pulling all this attention?
I mean, every team has somebody that gets more attention than the others. Like, that's not any different from any other sport as well. But at the end of the day, it's about, can he balance his personality, what he does off the field, with the focus and the commitment that he needs to have when he gets on the field. But what I love about Max, young Max, keep branding yourself, is even if it doesn't work out, even if he gets fired next day, he has opportunities down the road. Exactly.
Enoch, this is why we love having you here, because you have a perspective that we just don't have. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.